What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the THCtemple. And check this out, man, because with the day being the day after Valentine's Day, and I meant to upload this story on Valentine's Day because I thought it'd just be, a little bit more romantic, but, a day late, what I'm saying, they say better late than never, right? But either way, today, what I'm saying, either way, happy Valentine's to all my single folks out there, all my fucking taken folks, whatever you are, what I'm saying, whether you with somebody, not with somebody, whether you're looking for somebody, or whether you're focusing on yourself right now. You know how people be like, oh, I ain't worried about Valentine's Day, I'm doing me. Well, do you, boo-boo, whatever you doing, I'm trying to make sure you're good. Either way, check this out, man, because today's story, like I said, the day after Valentine's Day story, or the whatever you like to call it, you know what I'm saying, I want to hit this bowl. I don't know why. Before I said it, I said the topic, I felt a little silly. Like, Larry, you sure you want to do this video? Oh, I know I want to do it because it's a good topic, man, and it might help you guys out. I don't really think it's more of an educational thing. I just think it's more of a funny story. But either way, check this out, man. I'm gonna tell y'all about the first time I tried anal. Alright, so it was this dude named Billy, right? And it was the last day of summer camp. I'm fucking around, I'm joking. That was another thing I was thinking about. I was like, because I'll probably name the video, just trying anal or something like that. Now, most people will understand, just me, having, trying anal sex with a female for the first time or something like that. But I think a lot of people, just on pen and paper, seeing someone say, trying anal, I don't know. I think some people would be scared to click on the video. But let me be more realistic with you guys. At first, okay, let me hit this bowl first, and then we're gonna go from there. Okay, so when I was a young man, a younger man than I am today, not too young, oh, this chick I was involved with, what I'm saying, I was with her, and I don't even know why, but okay. Like I said, this chick I was involved with, man, we were hanging out one night, and this was like the first time, I don't know, I'm giving you a little background, it'll make a little sense, but this was like, what I'm saying, really dope girl I was dating, and, she was like the first kind of slimmer chick that I had been with. When I say that, not to say I had been with fat chicks before. I have been with one fat chick. I'm not dissing her. I was just putting it down because I'm not putting down fat women. But either way, growing up, I always like curvier women. You know what I'm saying? Like thick and kind of, what I'm saying, a lot to grab on. You know what I'm saying? And I think this was the first time in my life that I had been involved with, a more petite girl. So, and I'm bringing this up because, and let me change this track real quick, because, bigger women, what I'm saying, usually, fucking we get in the sack, you hit them with a couple moves and they out. But like I said, this was the first time I was with a smaller girl, so, she was hitting me with rounds, and like, this was like the first night she had done this, because when I got with her, she was a little bit more, what I'm saying, brand new to the game. But like this night, I don't know, what I'm saying, she'd be like, oh man, Larry, I'm done, and then 5 minutes later, bam, round 2, bam, round 3, bam, round 4, so what I'm saying, we're going at it, rickety, rockety, boom, boom, boom. And it came to a point, I forgot exactly how it happened, but fucking, like I said, she had tapped out at one point, she was like, oh, Larry, I don't think I can take no more. And like I said, it was another 5 minutes later, I was in the thing again, doing the thing. And at some point, like I said, I don't know exactly how we had got to that point, because I think at some point she was, on top of me doing the thing or whatever. But either way, I ended up behind her at one point, doggy style, on the bed or whatever. But, I wasn't, hitting it from the back. I was just back there. And like I said, I don't know how it happened. But, real quick, it's like she just came up to it like, I was back there. I don't know what I was about to do at the time. I guess, I don't know if I was kissing on the neck or something like, from the back or whatever. And she was just like, hey, Larry, stick it in my butt. Just blatantly, Larry, just stick it in my butt. And I think she asked me, like, Larry, do you want to stick it in my butt? I may have been playing with her butt, what I'm saying? How you play with the cheeks or whatever. And she said, you want to stick it in my butt? I was like, no, I really don't, what I'm saying? Like, I don't, like, and this isn't against people, who do anal sex, but I just never, understood the hype, I don't, like, cause when I'm with my woman, like, you may be, what I'm saying, down there, like, how can I put it in the clean version, eating the kitty cat, or petting the kitty cat, or whatever, maybe down there in the area, how people talk shit about people who eat ass, oh man, how can y'all eat ass, y'all so crazy, well, I mean, when you're back there already, if you're just behind the one, the asshole is right there. Especially, like I said, if you're servicing the kitty cat, the butthole is literally right there. You know what I'm saying? It's literally, it's in the same neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So if you're at one person's house, it's not crazy for you to stop by another person's house. I have never eating butt, but like I said, that's how I justify it for people that do. You know what I'm saying? If they want to take that justification and use that, then they can. But my whole thing about it is, like I said, she was asking me, and I was like, no, I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't excite me. Like, oh yeah, put it in your butt today. And she was like, oh, come on, because like I said, I was like, nah, I kind of said it like, no. Like I said, Larry, do you want to? No. And she was like, come on, please. Like, she was begging me to put it in her, but like, begging me. She was like, oh, please. I was like, when you hear a girl, when y'all are intimate, she's like, oh, please, daddy, say do this and do that. You kind of want to do that thing she's begging you for. But like I said, putting it in the butt, like I was literally just looking at the butthole. It's all right. She got a cute little butthole, but I don't want to put my penis in it. It's not that cute. You know what I'm saying? No offense to the butthole, but it's just not that good looking. And fucking, like I said, I forgot what I said again. I said, I want to put it in your butt, or something. What? We're going at it for a little second. And at the time, like, we were having like debates about her swallowing a substance. You know what I'm saying? I think you guys can put two and two together. She would always perform the service, but when it came to the end, it's kind of like, oh, I'm trying to dip out. So we had always debated about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, why don't you finish the service? So like I said, I was back there and I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And she was like, Larry, if you do it, I'll swallow. And at the time, I was like, I can't say at the time I was like anything. What had happened was exactly what I said to her. I said, like, I was still like in no mode. I was like, come on, I don't want to stick it in your ass. But at the same time, I was like grabbing the lube. I was like, we had some lube nearby, so I was like, come on, I don't want to stick it. After she said, Larry, if you do it, I'll swallow. I said, come on, man, I don't want to try that. So I just, I was getting it ready. I was like, okay, it's not that bad. I was justifying it. Like I just justified a second ago. I had to justify it. Hold on. What track am I going to put on just to finish this story up here? Because it's going on too long now. If I'm already on this track, we're going on with this story too long about talking to players about the but no pun intended. Man, can I get to this song over here? I shouldn't have loaded this track up now because it has too much going on. Let me put it on your fat. Let me put it in your butt. Either way, okay. So, like I said, I'm lubed up now, and she, she's bending over, she's ready. I said, like I said, I was in no mode, like, I don't want to do it, but, she, if I scratch her back, she'll scratch mine, so let's try it. What's the worst that can happen, right? Okay, so like I said, I'm already ready to, go in, I guess. Like I said, how do you ever know that you're, like, because, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because, when I started, dating this girl, it was, very hard for us to get into the groove. Something quite didn't fit in some places, and that was the natural way. So like I said, if it was so hard to get things to fit naturally, I know this unnatural thing was probably going to be a no-go, no-flow. But like I said, I wanted to get swallowed, so I try, I'm going to do what I do. So like I said, I take the tip, a little balls, she's right there, and it's like squealing, I'm just like bumping up against it, but it's like I kinda got something going on. So I think I take it back. I think I put a little bit more lube, just real quick, just a couple drops, bam, bam. I'm trying to go ahead and get in and get out. So, I put it, and it's like I got like the half of my head in, but I don't know, maybe half of my head was just squished so far up against the bow, and I was like, man, this is a little bit not even harder than I expected. I expected it to be mega ultra hard. So at one point, like I said, I attempted 2 times, and I'm just knocking up against the door, and I forgot what she said. I wish I knew what she said, because I knew it would have been funny as hell, because she was like, come on, Larry, give me what you got. I was, what I'm saying? She said something, give me what you got for a pork chop, and like she just bent over a little bit more and like spread her cheeks, so now her like butthole is like fucking gorging out of me, what I'm saying? So it's like super ready. I'm like, just like, like when a girl, spreads her legs and her I don't know why I'm trying to be so medical with this, but her vagina, what I'm saying, is spread open and ready. That's what her butthole was. So I was like, okay, what I'm saying, you can see the pink and everything. I'm sorry for being so explicit. Maybe I'll make a censor version. I won't, but that was very graphic in my head. Either way, like I said, the butthole's really ready now. So I'm like, okay, here's all of these, I'm just trying, get the head or the tip or something in there. I'm just trying to get something in there. We'll go from there. And I tell you, man, like I said, because she was like, she was bent over, she was spreading her cheeks, what I'm saying? So I literally, look at the butthole right there. I think I said, like I literally, like I said again, like I had just put the tip in, a little bit of the tip in there, probably like a quarter of the tip. I put like 10% of the tip in there, and I swear, like I said, 'cause we were at the back of the bed, she was bent over. This girl flew across the bed, like she from the back of the bed, like she just flew, like she literally, like I said, you know, she was like that kind of, or like, you know, just bent over. She said, like as soon as I, you know, touched her, she threw, you know, like she just flew like a frog jumping out of the water. So like she just leaped across the bed, and like she was looking back at me like that, like I fucking stabbed her in the back or something. Like she was like, "Whoa, no, we're not doing that again." She was like, "Larry, it feels like you know, you poked me in a place that shouldn't have been hit." And I was like, "Oh, really? You know what I'm saying?" I was feeling really like the bad guy after that. I wasn't really feeling like the bad guy, because I was like, "You literally begged me, like you made me do this." You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really feel bad, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like she was like, "Oh my god, I'm never gonna shit again." Like, you know, she was all fucked up. And yeah, of course I felt a little bad then, but at the same time I was like, we literally did not have to do that. So yeah, I guess that's it. Like I said, pretty much it's something I don't recommend. I haven't been there. Look, and I haven't even, and then you want to know the craziest thing about it? Here's the craziest and most funniest thing, because I was thinking about this earlier. She had to beg me to do. I didn't want to do, you know, I don't, it's just, you know, it's something, like literally I've probably been curious about every other thing except for, you know, the butt. The butt's just, you know, keep that medical, you know, when it comes to me. Anybody else, do what you got to do with anybody, you know, with what you want to do. Just be safe. But at the same, like I said, it's just not my thing, you know, no matter who she is or who, you know, whatever it is, you know. And so that's why I say, you know, like fucking, she put it in my head. I didn't care about it at all. But you know, I'm kind of curious about trying it now. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of curious about doing it the right way. So she had definitely opened up a can of worms, but we never tried it again. But the whole point of it is, and I never, you know, did it with anybody else, but yeah. That's pretty, like I was, like I said, after that I was a little bit curious, like, what if we did it right? You know what I'm saying? So that was the whole thing about it. I get curious, man, if I see things, but you know what I'm saying? Like at first I was like, well, you know, I had no point to be curious about that, but I did. There's a lot of points to be curious about something you don't know about, but I was like, hey, look, that's one of the things I was like, I don't know and I don't want to know. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things in life that I'm like that, but that was one of them. But like I said, got a little curious after that, because I was like, but like I said, never materialized. You know, it's one of those things like after you first do something, you're kind of like still into it, but you know, it, like I said, it was just, it's so, I'm good. I'm great, but stable. By the way, man, if any of you had some experiences with it, like I'm sure you have, you can drop that down below if you want to. It may be a little too personal for you, or maybe your friend had a story like that, you know what I'm saying, that you can tell me about, and you know what I'm saying, your friend, we can keep your friend's name anonymous, you know what I'm saying, so go ahead and drop that down in the comment section. Either way, I'm about to get up out of here, man, and I love you guys, man. So I don't love you, you know, end up stick penis in you, but you know, I love you. So shouts out to y'all, man, and just shouts out to everything, man. Shouts out to the world and everything being so good and dope and beautiful, man. And yeah, and this track is fucking dope, man. I remember I got in the car the other day, you know, just cranking on the radio, you know, like FM radio or whatever, and you know, this song was literally like just coming on the radio, like, I mean, literally, like, as soon as I crank up, it was at the intro, you know, like, no radio announcer, this is Childish Gambino, this, and all, it was literally, you know, coming on to just the song, and I thought it was so beautiful, you know, it was a beautiful, you know, sunshiny day, so this song is definitely, you know, a fucking, you know, a keeper in my book. But guess what? Oh, this isn't the stay woke part. Now I feel stupid. But I like said niggas sleeping. Either way, I'm about to get up out of here.